Hello, and welcome to our Unity tutorial video on how to make a 3D platformer. But first, before we start making a game, we have to introduce first what are 3D platformers. So what this video contains is what is a 3D platform game, what are famous examples of 3D platform games, and what are the major components of a 3D platform game. First, what is a 3D platform game? It has 3D dimensional graphics, horizontal and vertical movements, side or vertically scrolling environment, and always involves enemies, puzzles, collectibles, and power-ups. What differentiates 3D from 2D is the addition of the Z-axis, in which the player is able to move forward and backward as opposed to just left and right. So, what are examples of 3D platformer games today? First is Super Mario 3D World. This game is based from the famous Super Mario Bros. Game that came out long ago, which was still a 2D platformer. But today, through the use of modern technology and game development, there is a Super Mario game that uses 3D platformer mechanics. Next, Crash Bandicoot. So, Crash Bandicoot is one of another examples of early games released a while back. Crash Bandicoot was released for the PlayStation 1 as a 3D platformer and still today has more games that are still 3D platformers. Finally is Spyro. Spyro is a purple dragon that you control that is also a 3D platformer that is based from a game made for the PlayStation 1 similar to Crash Bandicoot. Now, what are the common components of these games? There are 6 major components that we are going to talk about. The platforming mechanics, level design, use of sprites, enemies or obstacles, collectibles, and the side view camera. Platforming mechanics. So, the mechanics of platforming in these games are very straightforward, only using 2-dimensional movement. Depending on the placement of obstacles, platforms, enemies, and other gameplay aspects, it usually requires precise timing and good reflexes from players. Next is level design. 3D platformer games are a genre of video games characterized by gameplay focused on navigating 3-dimensional environments, typically from a third-person perspective, while overcoming obstacles and challenges primarily through jumping, running, and sometimes combat. Next are 3D models. 3D models are digital representations of characters, objects, environments, and other elements within the game world. These models are created using computer graphics techniques and are composed of vertices, edges, and faces, which together form geometric shapes like polygons or meshes. Enemies and obstacles. Enemies and obstacles in 3D platformer games are elements designed to challenge players and impede their progress throughout the game's levels. Both enemies and obstacles are strategically placed throughout the game's levels to create engaging and challenging gameplay experiences. Next is collectibles. Collectibles in 3D platformer games are items scattered throughout the game world that players can gather for various purposes. These collectibles often serve as secondary objectives alongside the main goals of the game. Next, third-person perspective. So the third-person view refers to the perspective from which the player observes and controls the character. Instead of seeing through the character's eyes, like the first-person view, or a fixed position in the environment, like a top-down view, the camera is positioned behind and slightly above the character, providing a view of their actions and surroundings. So that is all for our introduction to 3D platformers in general. Next, in our next video, we will start in making a 3D platformer game in Unity. So make sure to check that out. Thank you for listening, and please watch the next video.